Everyone at my new office says it's great to have me back. I have never worked here before. I am not someone who gets lucky. I want to be clear about that before anything else. Because everything that follows will sound like luck. And I need you to understand that it wasn't. I had been applying for analyst roles for 11 weeks when I found the listing. It was a mid-level firm in the kind of district that has a sense of its own importance. It was the position of junior analyst. The listing was unremarkable, except for one thing. I couldn't name at the time. The language felt familiar in the way your own handwriting looks familiar. I told myself I was projecting. I wrote my cover letter, attached my CV, and submitted it at 11:47 on a Tuesday night. Their response came at 11:52. I told myself that was just an automated acknowledgement. The interview confirmation arrived 3 minutes later. I told myself it was also automated. I went to bed telling myself a lot of things. The man who interviewed me was named Rafiq. He was a senior manager. He wore a pale shirt, sleeves rolled exactly twice. The kind of man who makes a room feel slightly more reasonable just by being in it. He stood when I entered, which people don't do anymore. He gestured to the chair across from him the way you gesture to a seat for someone you've been expecting. He already knew my coffee order. He said it was on my application form. I have filled out enough application forms to know there was no such field. But he said it so easily, so without any weight, that I let it go. The way you let small things go when you want something badly enough. The interview lasted 22 minutes. It felt less like a screening and more like a briefing. He asked about my experience in a way that suggested he already knew the answers and was simply giving me the courtesy of saying them aloud. At one point, without looking up from his notes, he said, "You'll find this role very natural." Not we think, not I believe. Just a plain, declarative fact, delivered to the table. I got the offer before I reached the lobby. I accepted it in the lift. I have worked multiple jobs throughout my life, and it was the quickest job confirmation I ever received. I was asked to start from the very next day. The first morning I arrived early. I found that my name was already on the desk. Not a handwritten card, but a proper printed nameplate, the kind that takes days to order. I stood and looked at it for a moment. I decided it was simply efficient administration. The IT system had my preferences already configured. The right browser, the right shortcuts, the screen brightness I keep everywhere set to 64%. For a split second, I started to think that these might be more than just coincidences, but I started my work anyways, and the thought just disappeared. A colleague passing my desk said, "So good to have you back." I looked at him, half intrigued and half confused. He saw my reaction, then laughed and said, he meant on board, obviously, and kept walking. The same thing happened 3 times that day. Different colleagues, different versions of the same phrase. "So good to have you back." This wasn't making any sense. In the canteen at lunch, the woman behind the counter began plating my order before I opened my mouth. She somehow already knew about my vegetarian preferences. I didn't recall sharing this information with anyone in my workplace. Rafiq stopped by my desk at end of day. He leaned against the partition with his arms folded. "Settling in?" "I think so." "Good," he said. "You look like you belong here." He said it the way you'd say it about a piece of furniture that had finally been put in the right room. I went home feeling inexplicably at ease. The weeks that followed were the best professional weeks of my life. That is the part I keep returning to. I was good at the job in a way I had never been good at a job before. Not learning curve good, but immediately, fluently good. As if the role had been designed around the specific shape of my abilities. Rafik defended me in a budget meeting I nearly stumbled in with the calm efficiency of a man protecting something he'd already decided had value. But deep inside, I could never shake the feeling that all of this was too good to be true. I started asking, quietly, about my predecessor. Who had the role before me? How long it had been vacant? The answers I got were never consistent. Left suddenly. I'm not sure exactly when. Honestly, I don't remember there being anyone before you. That last one came from Anika, a woman who'd apparently been on the floor for 3 years. I told myself people don't pay attention. I told myself a lot of things. Yesterday morning I was looking for a printer that wasn't jammed. That's when I came across an unremarkable door in an unremarkable corridor, slightly ajar. It was labeled Archive Room. Inside were filing cabinets, a smell of old paper and cold air, and rows of personnel folders, arranged by role and year. I was there for perhaps 4 seconds before I understood what I was looking at. It was the shelf designated for the files of junior analysts, every person who had ever held my position, going back further than the company's current branding, further than the current building lease, further than I had any reason to expect. I should have left, but I didn't. I started at the front of the shelf with the most recent files and worked backwards. The structure of each was identical. A thin early section of CVs and interview notes. A growing middle of performance records and personal observations, and a final section titled Exit Summary. Always brief, always warm, always conclusive. What struck me as I worked backwards was that the files got thicker. Not slightly, substantially. As if whoever maintained them had become, over the years, considerably better at the work. More thorough, more patient. More detailed in the middle section, the personal observations. This section logged things like preferred working hours, stress responses, the particular way someone phrased disagreement in emails, the kind of portrait that takes proximity to build, the kind that takes time, the kind that was too personal to belong in an office file. My file was at the back. It was the thickest one. The early pages I recognized, my CV, a transcript of my interview with Rafik, first week observations that were accurate and unremarkable. Then the pages began to predate my application. Observations from what must have been 4-5 months before I ever saw the listing. Notes about my habits, my responses, my particular way of going quiet when I felt overlooked. There was nothing dramatic, no photographs, no addresses, just the steady accumulation of someone paying close attention from somewhere close enough to matter. Maybe someone I had probably trusted. Maybe someone I had not thought to question. Maybe someone whose existence I wasn't even aware of. I didn't know what it was. I still don't know what it was. The last page was a single sheet. At the top, a field labeled Exit Summary. It was blank, except for one thing. Today's date, already printed. I put the file back. I closed the cabinet. I walked back to my desk. Rafik was crossing the floor as I sat down. He didn't stop, just glanced over. "Still at it, good man?" "Yes," I said. I opened my email. I answered one, then another, carefully, at normal speed. Because I understood, sitting there with the particular clarity that arrives only when things become very simple, that the only available move was to behave exactly as I had behaved every day before, to give nothing away, to be, for as long as I could manage it, unremarkable. I don't know what today's date on that page means exactly. I don't know if it marks a decision already made or a process already in motion or something I haven't thought of yet. I don't know how many folders there are or how far back the date ranges go, or who maintained them before and who maintains them now. What I know is that I came home and I sat down and I wrote all of this out because I don't know what else to do with it. I'm not posting this for sympathy. I'm not posting this because I think the comments will save me. If you are reading this, please help me make sense of what exactly is going on. I'm posting this because tomorrow morning I am going back in. I know that already with the same certainty I knew I had the job before I left the lobby. I just need someone to tell me what to do when I get there. Not whether I should go. Because trust me, I'm going. Tell me what to do when I arrive. Tell me how to sit across from Rafiq and take the coffee he'll hand me and look like a man who knows nothing. Tell me how to do that knowing what I know about that room and that file and that page. Tell me everything. I am all ears. I'll be at my desk by 8.